guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be making my homemade spaghetti sauce. This sauce is the perfect amount of tangy and sweet and fresh, exactly the way you would want your spaghetti sauce to taste. So inside this sauce, I'm going to incorporate some ground beef, some chopped up baby bella mushrooms, some minced garlic. We're going to blend up these whole peeled tomatoes into this ninja blender. We're gonna add some sugar and cornstarch to thicken up that sauce, chop up some parsley for a garnish, and then of course, we can't forget the freshly grated Parmesan cheese. I am so excited to share this with you. Spaghetti has been one of my favorite meals since I was a little kid. I grew up with my dad always doctoring up the jarred spaghetti sauces, and I was so excited when I finally nailed this homemade spaghetti sauce recipe. So hang out with us while we make it, and I'm ready to eat, so let's get started. Before I start on the sauce, I'm gonna go ahead and start sauteing these baby bella mushrooms. So the first thing that you wanna do is wash, and then chop up your baby bella mushrooms. This is probably about 16 ounces or a little less, give or take, of baby bella mushrooms. I just love the way that these taste and saute. I saute them with some butter and garlic and some of the Kinder's blend seasoning, and it is just so good. I'm gonna jump over to the stove and add these to the butter and the minced garlic. Anytime you're cooking with garlic, you never want the garlic to burn. So it's important that as you add it, you're moving it around. And then I'm gonna go ahead and throw all of these mushrooms in. So I'm gonna continue to let the mushrooms release their water. I'll continue to toss them around as they are cooking in the butter and garlic. Once I see that they have about reduced in size, probably about half in size, that's when I'll add in the ground beef. I try and get the mushrooms back to the side, and then I will place the ground beef in here and immediately start breaking it up into chunks. So while that side's starting to brown, I'm gonna coat all of this with a lot of this Kinder's blend, which again is just the salt, pepper, and garlic powder. I really want the meat to be seasoned on its own before we ever add it into the sauce. Now it's time to make the sauce. So I'm going to just plop in these peeled tomatoes right into my Ninja blender, and then I'll add the sauce. So what I found is just to get things going as I'm blending these tomatoes, I add in 2 tablespoons of sugar. So when I add in the 2 tablespoons of sugar, it already starts to kind of sweeten up the sauce that I'm blending. I'll taste it later as I'm heating up the sauce to see if I need any additional sugar or anything else. I'm also gonna go ahead and put in 1 teaspoon of garlic powder as well. So we're gonna blend this up and then transfer it over to our pan with our minced garlic and our oil so that we can start getting the sauce heated up. While this meat is continuing to brown, I'm gonna move it to this back burner so that we can start getting this sauce going. You're going to squeeze in a little bit of oil. You wanna use an oil that has a high smoke point because we're gonna saute the minced garlic here. We like to use avocado oil, and so we have it in this cute little squeeze bottle to make it super easy. I'm gonna take the remainder of the minced garlic from earlier. So this is probably closer to like 2.5 cloves right there. I'm going to let it kind of heat up in this oil for just a few minutes until it gets browned. So we don't want it to burn, but we do want it to get browned before we add in that pureed tomato sauce. This is immediately going to help the garlic to stop cooking, and it'll still slowly cook as we add other things into the sauce, but you'll see as soon as I add it in the sauce, you can see the oil and the perfectly golden brown minced garlic flakes just start to form around the edges. So you can gently mix this into your sauce allowing all of those flavors to kind of absorb within the tomato sauce. As I cook the sauce, I am going to check the flavor often, so I'll taste it just to see, does it need more sugar? Is it still too tangy? At one point, I'm going to add in some Italian seasoning, just a pre-made Italian seasoning blend, and then also a little bit more garlic powder. In goes 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. As this is simmering, it's going to reduce down. So I want it to stay at a low simmer so that it can reduce down. But as it's starting to simmer, I'm going to layer it with this Italian seasoning blend. And that's about as much as I will use for that. I'm adding the sauce on top of that mushrooms and ground beef so that all of these flavors and seasonings can kind of meld together. We're gonna let it continue to reduce down into this pan, and then we will do a little check-in on the taste. I'm also, while this is going on, going to get the water boiling for the noodles. The water is boiling, so we are gonna dump those organic spaghetti noodles in there, and then I'll continue to check on them until usually takes about like 7 to 9 minutes with spaghetti noodles. And we are ready. We have our buttery spaghetti noodles in our amazing sauce sitting right here, ready to be added to the bowl to eat. So let's combine these and do a taste test. I'm gonna add the noodles first. I like to do about 2 scoops of noodles in one bowl. I'm really big on, whoops, we lost one. Now for the sauce. Man, it smells so good. This has been mine and Andrew's favorite pasta meal. All right, that looks perfect to me, you guys. Let's add these garnishes and do a taste test. Here we go, some freshly grated Parmesan, and then just a touch of parsley for some pop of color and beautiful flavor. Holy cow. The chunks of mushrooms and meat is probably my favorite part. So if you're not interested in a chunky spaghetti, maybe don't do that. But for me, that's what has like the big burst of flavor, and I just cannot wait to try it. So, oops, that's Andrew's fork. Speaking of, Andrew.
Right on time.
Taste test time.
This looks good.
Okay, taste test. This is your fork. Andrew uses a big fork, I use a little fork.
Ready?
All my kids out there, feel me?
Same time?
All right, yeah.
I got my bite.
Like Lady in the Tramp style.
Wow. That is so good.
So
By
freaking
far my
good.
favorite spaghetti sauce ever. Better
The
than any
noodles
restaurant.
and the noodles came out perfect.
Yeah. That's like the perfect al dente or whatever.
I want a mushroom. All right, guys. I feel like, oh my gosh. We can't forget, we made garlic bread earlier. By the way, look out for this video because it's coming out next. If you want it. That garlic bread is homemade and it's so good. We're gonna post that video right after this one, but right now, we're making a mess. So we're gonna go eat and we will see you guys in the next video. If you haven't already, please like, comment on this video if you're gonna try this recipe and let us know what you want us to make next.
Bye y'all.